Hi there, and welcome to the second installment of how to use the Scandalous library. Today we're going to be going over how to use predefined definitions. In tomorrow's installment we're going to be creating our own definition, but for now let's just go see how we can add definitions in. Yesterday's project left us with what you see in front of you, a simple Google search box that allows us to search for something on the Google book list. So what we want to do today is we want to start working towards dropping these books into a carousel. So the first thing we're going to need to do, definition comes with a simple carousel. First thing we're going to need to do is we're going to add a place for this carousel. So we're going to copy this out into our Google HTML code right below our table that we worked on yesterday. You'll notice that our carousel has a couple classes on it. So let's analyze these classes. First, we put a horizontal rule between our table and our carousel. And then we have a div wrapper that just centers, align center the contents of this div. Then inside of that we have a div called def carousel, which is going to be the definition of our carousel. That's what we're going to apply our carousel methods to. We have a left button, we have a right button, and we have a viewport. This is the area that we're going to see inside our carousel. And then we have 5 carousel frames. Save this and go look to see what this looks like on our Google search page. So here we go. This is our carousel. This is what we're going to begin with. 5 empty frames with a left button and a right button. Not very much to look at, is it? Let's go ahead and fill this in a little bit. We're going to take some content and put it into those frames. We're going to copy over these frames here. And what have we put in here? So now the carousel frames have content inside of them. They've got a clickable region, an A tag, an anchor, that has another definition called click shake on it. And inside of that A tag they have an image with another definition called proximity opacity and an alt tag of carousel frame. Alright. Doesn't look like much. Let's go look at it on the HTML page. Okay. So we should have 5 frames in here. Inside the viewport, which is the part you can see through, underneath that we've got our images, and you'll notice that they're glowing. That is the proximity opacity effect. That was just added with the class name. Let's go back and look at that code one more time. Proximity opacity. Each one of these images has a class called proximity opacity, and what proximity opacity does is when you're within the proximity of whatever this object is, it will change its opacity from half to full. That's all it does. You notice that there's also another one called click shake. That's on the anchor tag that wraps around this. So that sounds like something that's clickable. Let's try it. Oh, I get it. Click and shake. These are samples. Samples that are built into the Scandalous library. And you can experiment with these when you're trying to learn how this works. It's obviously pretty simple. Just apply a tag. So let's go ahead and look. We're going to use Firebug now. Let's go ahead and look to see what kind of classes we've actually applied to all this stuff. So looking back at our code, we have our centered div. The only thing that that's doing, setting up automatic margin, text align to center, and a width of 100%. Inside of that we have our carousel, and the CSS that we've used for that is simple background color, border, height, margin, and width. Our left button, very simple CSS. Inside our viewport, here's our viewport, very simple CSS. Inside our carousel frames, very simple CSS. The only thing we're saying is the list of frames is 1200 pixels wide, and each pixel and each frame is 120 pixels wide. So there's nothing complicated behind the scenes. This is all completely taken care of through the definition libraries. Let's click on some buttons here, and you'll see that things scroll to the left. We have 5 frames, so that's as far as we can go to one side. And things scroll to the right. Pretty simple stuff. So that is how to use the definition library. It's as simple as applying class names.